Hi, my name is David Mills. I'm a teacher from New Haven, Connecticut, and I work with a lot of students who use the fingerboard applique when they're playing, especially in alternative styles music and so forth. And I've discovered a pretty quick and easy way to install an applique, and so I'm going to just show you my technique. Essentially what I do first is I loosen the strings. I start with the outer strings, put them around the side of the nut, and come in under the end of the fingerboard, but stay on top of the bridge so the bridge will stay in place. I even tighten it back up a little bit. Do your E string as well. Then I do the inner strings, the D and the A. Tighten it up just a little bit. Getting it on top of the bridge. Once you have the fingerboard completely exposed, you're ready to put the applique on. If you see there's a little soil on the fingerboard, you can always take some plain household alcohol with a rag. Put a little on the rag. Don't do it near the violin. Some violin finishes will stain if you drip alcohol on them. So you just want a little bit on a rag, and then you can just clean the fingerboard a little bit. Sometimes when you wipe down the fingerboard, you'll get a little bit of a stain on there. That could be from just crud on the fingerboard, or a lot of times with inexpensive violins they have a little bit of dye that they use to make the fingerboard absolutely black, and it's really no problem. If a little bit of that comes off, it really won't mark the violin in any way. To put the applique onto the instrument, it's very simple. You take the applique, you remove it by pulling back the label. And then you can just take the label off. And what you do is you just move the end of the applique, you center it, and touch it right up to the nut of the violin. Centered on the fingerboard. And then lightly lay it down to make sure that you've got it centered all the way up the fingerboard. And you'll see that there's a little bit of fingerboard left over on the edges. That's fine. And then you can give it a nice smoothing all the way down. And then once you have it down, you can sort of rub a little bit tighter in between each of the nylon embedded frets. Make sure it's down securely. Then, sort of in reverse order, you start with your inner strings, put them back in place. And tighten them up. The next part of making the applique work is very important. Obviously now you've got frets like one has on a guitar, and the bridge has to be exactly the right distance for that to work. And usually what I do is, here's an inexpensive Planet Waves tuner, electronic tuner, and it's a CT09. So I find that it's really useful to have an electronic tuner even if you have good ears. And just put it down next to the violin. What I do is I usually tune up the G string first. And then what's important is that when you go up the string to So, which is D on a G string, that it's also in tune. If the fretted note is sounding a little bit sharp, that means that the string is a little bit too short, in which case it was a little sharp. So what I'm going to do is just very carefully pull back and make the string a little bit longer. Test it again. Now the G will be a little out of tune. And now I test the D again. Still just a little bit sharp, so I'm going to pull it back just a little bit more. And it doesn't take much. I'll proceed to do the A string, and then the D string, and then the E string. Okay, so when you've now got the fingerboard applique on and you've got your bridge in place, you'll find you can sort of test it, and you'll notice that when you play on the 7th fret where the second dot is, it's exactly the same pitch as the next string over. And you'll also find at the octave, if you play with a light touch on the octave, it's perfectly in tune with the 12th fret. There you have it.